All right, let's dive right in. Today we're talking about one of the biggest things in life, love. But we're not going to talk about the cliched romance novel stuff. We're going to explore what actually makes a partnership passionate, strong, and truly deeply fulfilling. So what if that whole idea of searching for your one perfect soulmate, the idea that love should just magically happen? What if that's actually the very thing setting us up for failure? This one question, it challenges everything we think we know about romance, and it's the key to a totally different way of building a love that lasts. So we're going to build a completely new framework for love, piece by piece. We'll see how a powerful spiritual foundation, some really practical, everyday tools, and a profound way of looking at pleasure aren't separate things at all. They're actually three pillars that have to work together for a relationship to really thrive. To get why a new model is so necessary, you just have to look at the data. Researchers at the famous Kinsey Institute found this pretty significant orgasm gap. They saw that heterosexual men report reaching climax about 85% of the time. But for heterosexual women, it's only 63%. Now, this isn't just about physical satisfaction. It's really a symptom of a much deeper disconnect in how we approach intimacy. Okay, so if the way we're doing things now is leaving people unfulfilled, where do we even begin? Well, it starts by changing the very foundation of what we think love is. Let's dig into that spiritual pillar. This quote presents a really radical idea when you think about it. Instead of looking for a partner to make you feel whole, this spiritual view suggests that your real self-worth, your ability to give and receive love, it comes from a higher source. It's about knowing you were created with honor, and that becomes the solid ground you build everything else on.
And that leads to this key shift in how you think. The Islamic concept of al-wadud frames love not as some passive feeling that washes over you, but as an active verb. It's all about the act of giving. And that means love becomes a choice you make, a practice you do every single day. It's something you do, not just something you fall into.
So when you build on that kind of foundation, the whole purpose of the relationship gets elevated. It's not just about two people trying to keep each other happy anymore. Instead, it becomes a shared path, a joint mission to serve a higher purpose. And suddenly, the everyday stuff of being partners becomes a form of devotion. So, with that spiritual why in place, we can start looking at the how. This is the architecture. Let's explore the practical tools, the actual blueprints for building a strong, resilient partnership. Okay, a critical tool here is understanding how you and your partner actually communicate love. The 5 love languages give us a framework for this. For instance, maybe you show your love through acts of service, like doing the chores, but your partner might need to hear words of affirmation to actually feel loved. Knowing their language and them knowing yours is like finally having the right key to the right door. I mean, you'd never build a house without a blueprint, right? So why would you try to build a life with someone without one? Asking these deep, intentional questions before you get married, it's not an interrogation. It's the hard, important work of designing your future together, making sure you're both building on the same solid ground.
Within this kind of framework, roles are seen as complementary, not as a competition. The husband's responsibility for leadership and providing, and the wife's for managing the home and family, they're seen as different but equally crucial contributions. And that beautiful Quranic metaphor of being garments for each other, it just perfectly captures this idea of mutual protection, comfort, and closeness.
So, if the structure provides that mutual comfort and protection, the final pillar is what fills that space with life, with energy, deep, shared intimacy. And for this, we can look to an ancient culture that created an entire art form dedicated to pleasure.
Just stop and think about that for a second. In so many cultures, female pleasure is often an afterthought. Sometimes it's even treated like a mystery. But what if? What if there was a place where a man's ability to bring his partner to climax was seen as a sacred duty, a core part of his honor and his masculinity?
Well, welcome to the world of Kunyaza. This is an ancient Rwandan practice, also found in nearby countries, and it's a sophisticated sexual technique with one main goal: to maximize female pleasure.
It completely flips the script on our typical views of sex by putting the woman's experience right at the absolute center of everything.
So how does it work? At its core, Kunyaza is a really patient, multi-stage process. It starts with dedicated external stimulation, using the penis to arouse the entire vulva. Then it builds to a rhythmic motion that's focused on the whole clitoral network, building sensation until the woman is brought to an incredibly intense climax, often leading to multiple orgasms and even female ejaculation. This powerful piece of advice from a Rwandan sex educator, Asenga, it really captures the whole philosophy. It's about patience, it's about focus, and it's about creating a space where someone can totally surrender to pleasure. The message to both partners is so clear. Don't block the water. Let it flow. Okay, so we've explored a spiritual foundation, a practical structure, and a profound art of pleasure. Now, let's pull all three of these pillars together and see how they create one single, thriving ecosystem for love. We spend so much of our time looking at other people's relationships, right? Comparing, sometimes despairing. But this quote is such a vital truth. A beautiful relationship isn't something you find, it's something you cultivate. The most amazing garden is the one you actually tend to yourself, not the one you're admiring over the fence.
And here it is. This is the complete picture. A truly fulfilling relationship isn't just one of these things. It's all three of them working in harmony. You need the deep roots of a shared spirit, the strong framework of daily practice, and that life-giving energy of mutual pleasure. If one pillar is weak, the whole structure gets wobbly.
So the big takeaway here isn't to just pick one of these pillars, but to see how they're all connected. And the final question is for you. Which part of your garden needs the most attention right now? Is it the spiritual soil, the practical structure, or the blossoming flowers of pleasure? The answer to that? Well, that's the first step to cultivating the love you truly want. Thanks for joining us.